It's the B Critics. Talk about the movies. Year after year. Week after week. Movies.
Jeez.
Will you save this audience from having to hear me sing more?
Sure.
Will you be the hero that they need?
This episode, number 14. 14.
Wow. You just took that right by the chain and then just dropped it on the floor.
I just wanted to say what number it was because I knew you'd get it wrong.
Wow, that hurts. You have you have no faith in me.
3 months. This is our 3-month episode.
No.
Yes,
this
is.
3.5 months.
It's 3 months.
3 months of the B Critics, 3 months of movies. We've seen a lot of movies at this point now, and we're going to see a lot more. As long as you keep listening, we'll be here to give you things to listen to.
42 movies.
42 movies. We're going to watch at least 4 more. Bare minimum. Probably more.
Yeah.
Very likely more.
Our A-list subscription was just paid a couple of days ago. Oh, yeah. I think. Yeah.
This episode brought to you by AMC A-List.
No, maybe it's the end of the month.
Sign up today using the promo code BCRITICS. I'm just kidding. Like we've got any promo codes. Sign up today for no discount to get up to 12 movies every month.
But hey, it's pretty good. $20 a month and we see 2 movies a week. That's 8 movies.
Exactly. Yeah, we could see 3 more. We could see like 4 more if we wanted to, depending on how many weeks are in the month.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't got time for that because we have full-time jobs. So
this is a really bad start.
This is a great phenomenal start here. So if you want to give us 75% of your paycheck, you too can support us in our lifelong dreams to become bums.
Did you say 75%?
I did.
Wow.
And if you give us any bit less, you are clearly greedy.
Okay.
Perfect. So with all that out of the way, we got our advertisements out of the way, all of our commitments, our prior engagements. Here we go right into it with movie number 1. I would say number 1 in the Indonesian language, but I don't know it. It's The Night Comes for Us.
And we just finished watching it.
Like minutes
5
ago.
minutes ago.
Yep. We're in crunch time. We're cramming it this week because that's just who we are. Because somebody spent the entire weekend with her family like a loser.
You're a loser because you just sit in the basement all by yourself.
Yeah.
I have things to do,
Clearly.
places to go, people to see, things to buy.
Things to buy. Oh, okay.
And
Sneak
I bought
that one
more
in.
clothes.
This is why the B Critics are in the hole. We have negative profit.
I had a 40% off coupon. My whole order.
And that's the plot for The Night Comes for Us. Hope you like this episode. Catch us next week.
Okay, bye.
Nah. This movie... Jumping on me, cat? This movie is straight out of Indonesia, featuring 2 of Indonesia's prime premier gore actors, Iko Uwais, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and Julie Estelle, both known for their wide pedigree in ultra-violence and brutality. And this movie is absolutely no different. This movie is insane. It's ridiculous. It's possibly one of the goriest movies I have ever seen. I don't know if it's the goriest movie that I've ever seen, but it's up there. How about you?
One of the.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite gorier than Tokyo Gore Police, but
It was like
pretty close.
It was like a good and exciting gore, though. Like, sometimes movies are really gory and they're just disgusting. Like Hostel type movies.
Oh,
It's just like,
Hostel.
ew. But this one was really bloody, and they were doing a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of cool things, and killing each other with swords and stuff. And I was like, ah,
Swords, i.e. machetes and kukris and box cutters.
yeah, those. And I was like, oh, amazing. And I really wasn't grossed out, like, in it, like, Human Centipede 2 type way.
Human Centipede 2 makes Human Centipede 1 look like a sci-fi original movie. As in perfectly okay for TV.
I was being like you and acting like I knew, like I had seen that movie when I haven't.
You haven't seen Human Centipede 2?
No.
Have you seen Human Centipede 1?
No.
And here I thought I knew
You
you.
were fooled though, right? Because I did what you do all the time.
But see how the turntables. Now I can look down upon you for knowing more than you.
Turntable. I'm the one who says wrong things here.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, Human Centipede 2 is considerably worse than Human Centipede 1 in terms of shock factor.
I know, because you told me that, so that's how I said it.
Yep. The Human Centipede 1 was the very first movie that I ever watched on Netflix. It christened my Netflix account, and it will forever be the first movie.
I should look back on my mom's account and see what the first movie we rented on DVD was.
Probably, like,
I'm gonna look.
Star Wars Episode 4, because you've had it for that long.
What? Episode 4?
Yeah. The original one from the 70s.
I think we got it in 2004. You can keep talking though, but I'm gonna look.
All right.
Now I want to know.
Yes, this movie is
If I remember mom's password.
Wow. Okay. This movie, The Night Comes for Us, is an action movie, pretty much a pure action movie. There is a plot behind it all, and it's a little bit difficult to follow. It's a little fragmented. The movie is predominantly Indonesian, with some English subtitles, and there is some English language spoken, kind of sprinkled in between. You'll hear a lot of different languages spoken in this movie, actually, but mostly Indonesian. And I don't know if it was just slight translation bumps or what, but I found a little bit of the plot a little hard to piece together. But as I kept watching, it came more and more together. So I don't know if that was intentional or no.
I think it was a language thing.
Yeah, it may have been. A language thing and a culture thing, the whole having to understand the concept of the triad and how they operate. Because it's about the triad and about an elite group within the triad known as the 6 C's. And one of those 6 basically goes rogue. So, surprise, surprise. The rest of the 6 C's don't like that very much and try to kill him. Also, he has a little girl with him. Because you gotta have a little girl. Although I must say, the movie could have effectively been done with virtually no change without the little girl.
Sorry.
Netflix! Damn it,
Fucking
Netflix!
autoplays!
Auto-playing all of its trailers.
But look at that, I got in.
You sneak.
I know all my mom's passwords.
That is not secure. All somebody has to do if they want to get into your mom's Netflix account is find you and interrogate you. Because that would definitely be the most likely
Yeah, you're right.
path. That's right. I'm right.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find it. It would take you more than it will take us to record this episode to find it.
We'll see about that.
You cannot do this the entire time that we...
I'm still listening.
You have to talk too.
Get your hands off.
No. I'm closing this.
No.
You have an episode to record. This is 2 of us.
listening.
You can't. You have to talk too. This is not a solo podcast. Jeez. Oh, I was listening. It's okay. You're not a listener. You're a content creator. Let's get one thing straight here, Missy.
You X'd out my window.
Yeah, that's right. You were horribly distracted looking at your mother's Netflix viewing history. You creep.
It's not viewing. It's DVD history. I don't even know if they still let you see it because you X'd out of my window.
It showed an entire page of results and then said show more, and that was still 2018.
That was streaming activity, though.
Well, you can check that later.
I need to know now.
You can't know now. You have things to do. The night comes for us. Bloody action.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Unlike movies like Tokyo Gore Police and The Human Centipede, this is all kind of grounded gore. I say grounded gore, but obviously it's still pretty outside of the realms of possibility. But it's not like fantasy gore. It
wasn't like torturous. It was just like, you're in my way and I'm gonna kill you.
Right, it was super visceral action. We're talking the whole 9 yards, entrails hanging out of stomachs, throats being stabbed through.
But very quickly.
Right, yeah. One thing that I really loved, and that so many action movies get wrong, is you could actually tell what was going on through like all the action scenes. There were really cool shots. There was a lot of hand cam, but they never went overboard with the shaky cam. There was just enough shake to feel intense, but not inhibit your ability to see what's going on. Like that garbage movie Mile 22, where every single action scene was like, okay, we have to take 3 separate shots of this person pulling the trigger and flail the camera around wildly, like we're WWE cameramen.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like WWE.
Exactly.
Because they're not really hitting each other.
Exactly. Oh, they're about to hit impact. Quick, change the camera.
Quick, drop the camera.
Pretty much. Throw the camera to Brock Lesnar so that he can punch it out of the way.
Yeah. But it's good that they had hand cams, because watching people fight on a steady camera is, like, unnatural.
Mm-hmm. And there were some pretty neat experimental shots as well. Some, like, third-person POV shots. Just a lot of cool stuff done with the action. The plot really only exists to progress the action. It just goes from one brutal scene to another constantly, and I love it. I love that it did that. It's funny because I've seen that some of the negative reception for this movie is because of its visceral nature, and I say that's what makes the movie.
You keep saying that word.
Visceral?
Yeah. You used it like 5 times in one of our other episodes.
It's a good word.
And now, ever since you brought it up that one time, you keep bringing it up.
I like the word.
Out of nowhere. I've never heard you say it before.
I say it frequently.
No.
When we don't often have conversations about visceral material.
The first time I heard you say it was the other day when you said it like 5 times.
Well, I'm going to say it 5 more times this episode now that you've made a point of that. See, I'm just here trying to cut content, and you're here inhibiting me.
Cut content?
As in, dropping some sick bars in the Audacity.
Well, I don't have a lot to say about things, so I have to just insert myself where
so you have to put me down. My content is to put you down.
Okay.
No, good action in this movie, though.
Yeah.
And as I was saying, it's criticized for all of the gore, but at the same time, it really makes the movie, too. Let's take The Expendables as an example. Expendables 1 and 2, rated R. Not as gory as this movie, but a solid amount of blood explosions and dripping blood from gunshots and all that. Then Expendables 3 came along, and it was PG-13. Can you believe it? That's what everybody asked. It was like, what the fuck? Why is this PG-13? It's the Expendables. It's a bunch of past their prime action at one point beefcakes killing shit tons of people.
It's like making The Hangover 3 PG-13.
Did that happen?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that actually happened. I was
I'm
like,
just saying that'd be like the same thing.
Right, it would be. Exactly. It's like you've already established what you're known for. And not to say that this is really established, but it is a comic book movie. Adapted from an Indonesian graphic novel to the big screen.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I just want to see your reactions.
You kind of look like Little John in Robin Hood in the cartoon.
I have no idea.
No, not Little John. No, the old guy.
Friar Tuck.
Yeah.
I'm not bald on top.
I know, but you have a hood and it's covering up your neck, so you look like you have no neck and you're hunched over and you look like him.
Wow, thanks.
I have to look up him.
You are getting so sidetracked. No more internet for the rest of the episode.
How did you know his name?
Because Friar Tuck is a regular part of Robin Hood mythos. For maximum immersion, look up a picture of Friar Tuck now.
The cartoon.
Yeah, but see how many like different Friar Tucks there are? That's because Friar Tuck is just a regular thing from Robin Hood, not just the cartoon.
I know, but why'd you remember that?
Because I know things.
This is like the other day when I texted my mom and sisters a joke and I was laughing so hard at my desk at myself. Okay. Because we were talking about taking Winnie the Pooh pictures with Connor, my nephew, and it was going to be windy out that day, and so I said, oh, it's going to be kind of blustery on Saturday. Winnie the Pooh. Because he blows in the wind.
We're never gonna make it through this. This episode is forfeit.
Blustery. I can't take it.
Apparently. What the heck?
Okay. Continue.
This movie has one of the best ending fights I've seen in a long time in a movie. It's just full of stuff that just makes you wince when you see it. People, like, punching iron girders on accident.
Nothing was as bad as the broken bones.
Oh, so many broken bones, limbs being twisted in unnatural ways. You just see, like, compound fractures at 90-degree angles.
Yeah, and they didn't do a lot of that right away in the beginning. It was mostly just bloody stuff like cutting throats or hands off or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. and then he like bent his arm backwards, and I was like, ah, no.
I don't know if we've ever seen a movie together where I have heard you gasp and seen you wince so much in one movie.
And it was because of all the bones.
I know, this movie is definitely not for the faint of heart. If you are not a gore fan, don't watch this movie because you'll get pretty much no enjoyment out of it. If you don't mind a wee little tab of gore.
I liked the blood and guts though and stuff, but the bones.
The breaking bones.
No.
Yeah. The bones and the things that the average human being can relate to, like stepping on a Lego. That doesn't happen in this movie.
Getting cut with a box cutter.
Oh, yeah. Man, I used to get cut by box cutters every single day back in the day.
Well, I mean, it's more realistic to get cut by a box cutter than to be macheted.
I know, that's true. The average human being doesn't really get their neck hacked off with a machete.
Yeah. There was a couple of those.
Yeah.
Couple neck hackings.
Yeah, it was a brutal, brutal movie. Makes me interested in more Indonesian cinema.
Oh. And this movie had one of two squashed pumpkin heads of the week. Meaning it looked like a squashed pumpkin, their head. It was just goo and brains and squashed. The other one was in Halloween.
Yes, thanks to this movie, like Halloween is the second goriest movie of the week. By far. Yeah. Like, it's not even close. That is how insane this movie was. But it was really fun to watch, too. I know that there's been multiple times when you've told me that, like, you don't like action movies or you think that the action scenes are boring.
Yeah, they are, but not when there's a bunch of blood spraying around. Then they're amazing.
These are the kinds of movies where they're not boring at all.
Yeah.
It's like...
I don't want to see someone just get punched a bunch of times.
It's got the same, like, blood spray effects of, like, Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Except Kill Bill had more plot, so there wasn't quite as much constant blood spray as there is in this movie.
And it was rated.
Right, yeah. This movie was just straight up not rated. They didn't even bother trying.
Yeah. It was so good. I loved it.
Wow, loved it. Nice. Yeah, if you need to scratch an action itch, rather, watch this movie. It's a fun ride.
The action movie for people who don't like action movies, but you also have to like blood.
So, really, it's a very small niche. And next year, I think we got Rambo 5 coming up, so
wow.
that should be a gory mess, too. Rambo 4 was really, really bloody. I saw all those.
I didn't. Wait, did I see the first one?
I don't know. Not with me, you didn't.
No, it wasn't on my list.
The first Rambo, so it's interesting. The first Rambo was actually like, the majority of it was action, but it was also a really good kind of essay on the effects of PTSD and men like living with intense PTSD, and it really touched on a lot of those themes.
Did you just say FX?
Effects. Effects.
Sounds like you're saying FX.
FX, the television channel.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Has a lot to do with PTSD. But
That's
yeah.
sad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like the first movie, the ending scene in the first movie legitimately has some of the best raw acting that I've ever seen, like out of Sylvester Stallone. He's like breaking down in a gas station. He's like a blubbering mess on the floor after he's just gone on this like, I can't even say murderous rampage because I actually don't think he directly kills anybody in the first Rambo movie. They all die from like his traps and stuff, I think.
Traps.
And then Rambo 2 and 3 are basically just straight action movies, and then Rambo 4 is an action movie with the gore ramped up. So
when you started your thought of some of the best acting I've ever seen, I thought you were going to stop there, and I was going to be like, whoa, don't get out of yourself there.
No, from Sylvester Stallone specifically. But I don't just want to limit that to being within his range. It is a legitimately very well acted scene. And it can hit you hard. Harder than you'd expect from Rambo. So, that's my review of Rambo First Blood. Actually just called First Blood Part 1. Actually, I think it's just called First Blood. And then Rambo 2 is Rambo First Blood Part 2. It's got really confusing naming.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Rambo 3. And then just John Rambo.
Okay.
Let's just talk about Rambo for the rest of the episode, you know? I mean, you haven't seen any of them, but I'm sure you'll be able to think of something. Rambo's better than Rocky.
I wouldn't know. I have only seen Rocky because it was the only one on my top 250 IMDb list 2 years ago.
Wow.
I'm just telling you why I've only seen one of them.
You mean you didn't watch every Rocky movie? As far as I know, the first one is by far the best.
I meant that's why I've only seen one or the other.
Gotcha. Well, that's what we have to say about The Night Comes for us. It's a gory spectacular, and it will keep you entertained from start to finish.
It was also a very pretty movie, and I liked the music a lot.
Yeah, it was shot well. Pretty good soundtrack. I approve. I approve a lot. Moving on to our next movie. Not a whole lot like the first movie. This is allegedly Robert Redford's final movie ever. The Old Man and the Gun. Now, Robert Redford has, since making that statement, said that maybe he was a little too quick to make that statement, so... yes. He said saying that may have been a mistake, so we'll see if he holds true to that or not, but...
He's like, come see my movie, guys. It's maybe my last one.
It's like, well, but maybe not my last one, so we'll see what happens there. As of right now, it is his planned last movie, with a spectacular backing cast of Casey Affleck, Sissy Spacek, Danny Glover, and my boy Tom Waits. The Old Man and the Gun is based on the true story of an old man who escapes from prison and then goes on a big old crime spree of robbing banks. And let me tell you, this is the single most wholesome bank robbing movie you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a crime movie that just makes you smile quite as much as this does. Even while he's in the act, you're just sitting there watching it and you're smiling. And like everybody on the screen, they're like, I'm being robbed, but is it really that bad?
This is kind of nice.
He's just such a perfect gentleman the entire time. He just points his gun at them, just says, hey, well, no, he doesn't even like point his gun. Like he just mentions he has a gun. He says, like, you're gonna put that money in the bag and we'll be on with it pretty much.
Just go ahead and fill the bag up for me, please.
Exactly. And he does various heists with his best buds, Teddy and Waller, played by Danny Glover and Tom Waits. May I say, Tom Waits was spectacular in this.
You just have a crush on him.
I do. I have a major man crush on old man Tom Waits. Old whiskey voice himself. It's great because, he's not really... I mean, he's been in plenty of movies and he's always, like, pretty good in them, but for being known more as a musician than an actor, it's always great seeing him in such great roles like this, and he had a lot of real good laughs and some great dialogue. He wasn't in a ton of it, but...
He had a couple good laughs.
I'm talking, like, in proportion to how much screen time he had.
A couple?
Don't bring me down. No, 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 don't bring me down. Woo-hoo. You're bringing me down.
Sorry.
But everybody is here for Robert Redford, who has, been in more major movies than I can bother to count.
And this was a perfect Robert Redford movie.
He just got to be Robert Redford. Just a likable, charismatic, gentlemanly, hi, I'm Robert Redford, and I'm taking your money.
And I'm clever and cute.
Yeah, I mean, he has aged so gracefully. He's still such a handsome man, even at his old age. He's just like, hi there. It's so funny because...
here. Okay, let's see. 1936. And Clint Eastwood was born in 1930. And God, has he aged so much worse than he is.
Clint Eastwood looks like a skeleton man now, if you've seen the trailer for The Mule.
Oh.
He straight up looks like a lich.
What's a lich?
A lich is an undead master of unlife.
He looks very, very old. Like he's one day from dying.
Oh yeah, and he's only like 6 years older than Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because Robert Redford keeps dyeing his hair.
Yeah, but it's not his hair that makes him look old or young. Like,
No, I know.
Face.
I know. His face is still pretty youthful too. Like he could pass for being like 65, and I'd believe him.
Yeah. Clint, on the other hand,
Oh man, he's old.
about 90.
And he is about 90. It's like, dang.
80.
Yeah. And then
Even 80.
and then Sissy Spacek is really good in this movie as well.
Wait, he is 80.
He's 89.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I said he is basically 90.
I don't know what I was just thinking. Anyway, what'd you say about her?
I was saying that she is very good in this movie as well.
You seen Carrie?
Yes, I've seen Carrie.
Did you recognize that that's who she was?
Yes, I do know who Sissy Spacek is.
I never know with you.
Cat, what are you doing?
She's fine, whatever.
She was bonking around on some stuff up there, but
On the cupboards.
yes, on top of the. She keeps trying to open the door.
No, she's just leave her up there. She's just gonna do what she does.
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
Where was I?
Casey Affleck, he's so cute.
Yeah, Casey Affleck playing a local cop who's trying to get it all figured out and trying to piece together everything. He's just like, what the heck is going on? What is this? You can tell he's absolutely fascinated by this case. But he's pretty much the only person who cares in the entire precinct. Everyone else is just like, whatever, they'll be dead soon anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a super fun overall movie. You just get to watch Robert Redford charm the pants off people. It's really funny because we were by far the youngest people in the audience.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny because we went on Thursday night, which is when Halloween came out. So everyone was going to that movie. And then we walked into this one and saw like 6 old couples around us. Like the next youngest people were sitting next to us, and they were probably like 39 or 40.
Yeah, we were like the only people under the age of 30 in the entire screening.
It was so funny. And we kept seeing like old lady couples walk by, like friends who probably saw all of his movies when they came out when they were young.
Yeah, it was a fun kind of generational gap. It's like this whole movie just kind of felt like a love letter to all his old fans.
Yeah.
He was like, if I'm going to go out, it's just going to be a nice, easygoing movie that everyone can just relax to.
Yeah, and they even had a clip of some other movie of his as the flashback.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know which one it was, but
yeah, they used like archival footage of Redford back in his prime for some flashbacks in this movie, so that was fun. You could absolutely tell it was just him having a blast with his swan song and just saying, it's been a good career. And who knows, we'll see, maybe he's not actually done yet and someone will entice him to come out of retirement for one more. It always happens. Nobody really retires until they're dead. It's true.
yeah.
Where do I go from here?
The song.
The song? Oh, yeah! So, it's so funny. Like, 2 weeks ago, I was raving to Tara about Jackson C. Frank, about how timeless of a folk musician he is, and how he... Like, yeah, his album came out in, like, the late 60s, but it doesn't feel like it. It's still beautiful to this day. So, of course, I played her good old Blues Run the Game, as everybody knows. It's like a signature song. And then, lo and behold, in this movie, just a beautiful section where they played, like, the entire song much.
They did. They played the entire song, which never happened.
Yeah, it wasn't just a segment. You got to just enjoy the entire serenade of Blues Run the Game with just a very bittersweet scene. It was so pleasant. It was just lovely. One of the loveliest bits of film I've seen in the whole year. I don't know if it was like the best movie that I've seen all year or anything, but it just had some really great parts and some really funny scenes. It is a comedy. More than anything else, there's a little bit of drama mixed in there, but above all else, it is a funny movie. Not in the way that, you expect, funny movies, but more of like a, well, that's peculiar kind of funny. Yeah. In the same way that your grandma would say, well, isn't that funny? Which makes sense, because all the grandmas are watching this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a minimalistic movie too. It's like there's not a ton else to actually say about it. Like I gave you the basic plot outline, true story. It's just genuinely wholesome, even though it involves bank holdups. It's just got a great supporting cast. I would definitely recommend seeing it. I really don't have any major complaints about the movie, and what more could you ask for than a movie where you don't have any major complaints? It's just nice. However, we do have to fill time somehow.
Well, let's go on into our next movie.
What is your favorite Robert Redford movie? We're not just gonna try to talk about Halloween for half an hour now.
Well, jeez.
Those are just his producer credits.
Okay. Actor, 79 credits. Okay.
That's actually a relatively low number for what I was thinking.
From what I can remember of seeing these 2 years ago, well, some of them, his best ones, I forgot he was in Barefoot in the Park. I loved that movie. Either that one or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Definitely both classics.
Yeah.
Many people would agree with you.
I love Paul Newman.
And then, of course, you had likened this movie to The Sting as well.
Oh, yeah. I liked that movie, too. Both of them were in it, too.
Wow, Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
Yeah. And I remember I hadn't really seen any Robert Redford movies before I watched all those IMDb movies besides The Great Gatsby I saw in school. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I hadn't really seen any. And then I saw that Butch Cassidy one, and I was like, is that Brad Pitt? He looks so much like Brad Pitt in that movie. It's ridiculous.
Yes, the old school Brad Pitt, before Brad Pitt was... I forgot he was in Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I did too.
I totally forgot about that. Oh... What a strange one for him to be in with all the rest of the things he's been in.
But that new movie that Brad Pitt's going to be in, what's it called? Once
Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's new movie.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Robert Redford in that. He is turning into him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be a good movie. I'm looking forward to that one. The ridiculous cast of that movie. Yeah, duh. Looking forward to a Tarantino movie? What kind of back-ass words thinking are you doing? Yeah, good movie. I think that we've padded a little bit here. I'd love to talk more about it, but it's just the kind of movie you just gotta go and watch for yourself. Anybody can enjoy it. It won't offend anyone. It won't be too controversial. It's just a wonderful little movie to go and see.
A little snack.
A little snack of a movie, exactly.
Are you stuck? Figure it out.
Hold on. Give us a little intro. I will get the cat down.
She can get herself down.
I'm getting the cat down.
Okay, well, our last movie's Halloween, obviously. Everybody saw it this weekend. It's number 1 in popularity. Me and Paul watched the original, a
couple months
8
ago.
months ago. Like in the spring. But I watched it again because I didn't remember everything that happened. And I wanted to compare.
Yeah, I think I saw something that said that Halloween here has broken a box office record for a movie starring a person over the age of 50.
I thought it was
60.
I thought it was, if it was that too, I thought it was also a female lead.
It might be both.
Where do I find that information?
I don't know. You just find it on random headlines that pop up on your Google feed.
Okay. Oh, look, you can talk about it.
It's So the fun part about this Halloween movie is that it completely retcons every other sequel to Halloween. And believe me, there have been a lot of them. Halloween is one of those franchises that has been milked to death, hung out to dry, and pulled across a wasteland until there's nothing left to really get out of it. I mean, it only took them until Halloween 3 to make a Halloween movie completely without Michael Myers anyway, and then they just kept going from there. This is actually the 4th Halloween movie that Jamie Lee Curtis has been in, but we don't talk about a couple of those other ones, because they weren't very good. But this movie is good. The best part about retconning all of the other Halloween movies is that it feels like a fresh slate. It's like you don't feel the burden of having to catch up with all of the rest of the ridiculous background lore that the rest of them made, like Laurie Strode and Michael Myers are siblings. Oh!
And they even bring it up in the movie.
That was so funny. They were like, aren't they siblings? And they're like, no, that's just a myth that people made up. It's like, everything about this movie is so self-aware and fantastic. Like, they understood exactly what they were making and exactly what it had to be. Mm-hmm. It's just if you've seen the original Halloween, you can watch this Halloween. You don't have to worry about anything else in between. This is a direct continuation.
But please watch the original first.
The original is
Please.
very good. Yeah, the original is spectacular. And this one is remarkably good, too.
You just need to see it to understand Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. It's so impressive, too, seeing how far Jamie Lee Curtis has come in terms of, like, acting ability and everything. I mean, obviously, that was, like, one of her first ever roles, if not her first role. And now, in this movie, you can just tell how much more seasoned, like, and matured she is. Yeah. And how comfortable she is in front of cameras. And actually, Judy Greer plays her daughter in this movie, and it's really funny how much I can actually buy Judy Greer as Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter.
Yeah.
They actually look kind of similar. So that was pretty good casting there. So yes, since it is a direct follow-up, and since Jamie Lee Curtis is now old, you could very well imagine that this is all about Michael Myers breaking free from the shackles of the mental institution while he is being transported to a different institution. He basically kills everyone on the bus and makes his way back to Illinois. And there it starts.
For her.
Exactly. He's coming for her. They're bound by fate. And it's so great because Laurie Strode, in the original was just, like a teenage babysitter, didn't have very many problems in the world, just minding her own business. And then in this movie, she's like a full-blown shut in with major PTSD, has like traps set along like the whole perimeter of her house, lives out in the woods.
Yeah, lives in the woods, has these giant security lights, has a million guns.
It's like, you can tell, it's like the original yeah, it's like the original Halloween fucked Laurie Strode up.
Yeah.
she never will be the same and never was the same.
And it's like, not that much stuff even happened to her.
Oh, yeah, she only got almost killed by someone in a William Shatner mask.
Yeah, but she survived.
Please, you'd be a shut-in, too, if that happened to you.
I have no idea what I'd be like. I already am a shut-in, so...
The other really fun part is that they actually brought back Nick Castle to play Michael Myers as well for the first time since the original Halloween. I don't think he portrayed Michael Myers in like every shot in this movie, because I do see James Jude Courtney also cast as him, and I believe
he has always just played him inside the suit, and anytime it's shown his face, it's been someone else.
I read specifically that it was Nick Castle when he was unmasked.
No, it wasn't. In the first one?
No, in this one.
Oh, I was talking about the first one.
Oh, well, you said
No?
It's generally known that...
No, that was not him.
Fine!
Look at this guy. That looks like him.
Okay. Not like they ever showed his face up front and right.
Well, why would they have two when Nick is the one who was always in the suit?
I guess. Okay, but yes, there are two actors who portray Michael Myers, but Nick Castle's got the menacing walk forward emotionless thing going on to a T. It's funny because there have been all sorts of fancy clickbait articles talking about how, like, oh, here are the hidden difficulties in portraying a role as deep as Michael Myers, and then like Nick Castle's well, exactly, yeah, like they're all like, oh, it takes this and you have to have this kind of thing down, and then like Nick Castle's here and he's just like, they told me where to walk, so I walked there.
Yeah. Like the most simpleton thing.
Right, it's like you're wearing a mask so you don't need to emote. You don't have any lines, so you don't have to deliver lines.
You're literally supposed to be emotionless.
Right. Which, hey, turns out Nick Castle's really great at walking around emotionlessly.
They, like, tried to make it a lot like the original, though, and they had, like, long, drawn-out shots of Michael a few times. Not as many as the original, because people today can't take stuff like that.
Oh, no. Yeah, but just, like, great, like, oh, here he is, and we're just gonna keep the camera right here and not move it, and you just get to watch Michael move around.
Yeah.
The same stuff that was effective 100 years ago is still effective now.
Not too much, though.
Not too much, wow.
Because then people would get bored.
True. Like I said, this is the second goriest movie of the week. I'm not going to say that there wasn't gore in it. There most certainly was. There was a good old classic head stomp, good old throats being stabbed through. But unlike Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, this one took a much more old school approach to horror and was more of a we'll just let you imagine what happened there.
Kinda, yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's still plenty of on-screen brutality, but there's a lot of off-screen as well. Like Michael Myers' first kill when he gets back to Illinois, he grabs a hammer, beats someone to death. It doesn't show the actual beating, but the camera pans showing the aftermath of it, and it's just like you're just left there to sit in your chair wondering, what is he doing? The answer is he's hitting someone with a hammer. Spoilers.
That's because all of the other ones and remakes and stuff had enough of like over-the-top stuff, and they wanted to make it just like the original.
Yeah, especially the Rob Zombie ones. I know a lot of people who hate those just on the basis that they're so overly gory. But
I can't even remember them.
That's just kind of Rob Zombie's thing, though. He's like, every day is Halloween, and there's no such thing as subtlety.
Every day is Halloween.
Yes, that is how he lives his life. His horror movies are basically the same thing as his music. If you're grading Dragula on its artistic merits, you're listening to Dragula for the wrong reasons.
How does that one go again?
Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slide on in the back of my Dragula.
I love those songs.
I know. And then his band White Zombie with Thunder Kiss 65.
Living Dead Girl!
Yeah. Yep.
My favorite song ever.
Wow. No. The greatest song ever recorded by any human being on the planet Earth.
My favorite song of his.
Living Dead Girl. Oh, yeah. His movies are the same thing as his music.
I was like 8, and I thought that song was like the coolest, most badass song.
Every kid thought Rob Zombie songs were the coolest, most badass songs ever. because kids don't understand irony. Which he absolutely is all about. But yeah, this beast is a much more subtle one. It's funny because there was a point in this movie where I thought they were going to do a really, really stupid plot twist, and then they just don't. And I was like, you guys, you know so well.
What?
When Michael Myers gets like run over by the car, and then the doctor like puts his mask on, and I was like, are they gonna really make him be the new Michael Myers now? Oh. And then he just like takes the mask off, and he's like, oh well. And I was like, they know. Everybody in this movie knows exactly what the audience doesn't want and what they do want, and they manipulate that. They're like, oh, bet you think we're gonna do this? Just kidding, we wouldn't do that to you.
JK.
And then there's, plenty of teen scream and high school drama on the side, too, with Laurie Strode's granddaughter dealing with dick boys and all that.
Fucking asshole boyfriend.
Yeah, and then the super awkward other friend.
He reminded me so much of you when he first came on the screen. When you were come back!
Insult me further.
When you were younger.
You saying I have a pig face?
No, not him.
Oh, the douchebag boyfriend?
No, that kid looks nothing like you. I'm talking about the one with the dark hair.
That's why I felt so offended. I was like, what are you talking about?
What was his name? Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
Well, I can stand with being the douchebag then. I mean...
Because when you used to be young and your hair was long and your your face was bare, he looked just like you.
Wow. There was actually but there was some really good humor in this movie, too.
The funniest thing of the whole movie was the little kid she's babysitting.
The babysitting scene is the best. Maybe now go babysitter. I'm here up past my bedtime clipping my nasty ass toenails.
I wish I could see this again just so I could see that whole scene again.
That kid had just like killer line after killer line. Just ridiculous. He thinks Michael Myers is upstairs. He's like, no, send Dave.
Send Dave up first.
Just totally willing to sacrifice him. Oh God. So yeah, there's a little brief reprieve for comic relief in this movie as well.
It's so funny. I almost cried.
I know, that was really funny. And there were a few other relatively funny moments as well, but nothing beat that. I mean, heck, the whole movie is worth seeing just for that scene alone.
Yeah, it is.
That kid stole the whole movie. Highway robbery. But as a follow-up to Halloween, I really couldn't be happier with it. It nailed everything. It's so risky making follow-ups or anything. And honestly, it's kind of remarkable how rarely this kind of thing does happen. Usually it's a sequel or a remake. Follow-ups to ancient movies don't really happen all that often.
Yeah.
So the fact that was what we got here was really, I think, most of what contributed to it being so damn good. It was like, who cares about the rest of the series? We can just ignore all that. Let's just go back to this one for a one-off, a great send-off, and it's like, hey, it worked.
But it's not better than Blade Runner 2049.
That's right. That was another one that went back to an old movie and followed. Yeah, oh man, don't get me started on that. If the B critics were a thing back when Blade Runner 2049 came out, man, would have had a whole episode just dedicated to that one. We would have gone over for sure.
I'm hitting that for sure.
But I'm not going to open that can of worms right now. That's oh God, that movie was so good.
Just thought I'd mention it.
You made a mistake. One of the few movies that we instantly bought on Blu-ray when it came out.
Wasn't that the first one we got on Blu-ray?
I think it was, yeah, the first Blu-ray that we ever bought.
I bought it for you.
Mm-hmm. And then you saw what Blu-rays actually look like, and you were like, oh, my goodness.
Well, I bought Rear Window in Blu-ray, and then I was like, that's the one that made me realize, because movies already look really good today, but I saw that one, and I was like, this looked like shit the last time I saw it. It's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, like again, with all the risks, they just nailed everything with this movie, and it was just so fun the whole way through, and that's what it needs to be. Like, it's not the kind of movie that really goes out of its way to try to get you with cheap scares or anything. It's just like, here's a fun Halloween movie that you can go see with your friends. You can have a laugh, you can have a gasp, and then
everyone saw it.
Oh yeah,
the theater was packed.
Hugely successful movie, and I'm glad it was. I mean, honestly, Blumhouse in general has had a really, really fantastic track record with most of their movies. They've had a few misses here and there, but they have pretty much nailed the formula for knocking out solid horror movies.
What are their other ones?
Well, let's just look it up, shall we? Get you an overall overview here. Let's see.
I love Sinister.
Yeah, they did Sinister, Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Oculus.
Sinister, what year did it say that came out? 2012.
Yeah.
Sinister is the last movie that, like, actually scared me a lot.
Sinister was creepy as hell.
It's really hard to scare me because I've seen so many horror movies, but I was like, oh my gosh.
They did all those Paranormal Activity movies, which are dumb now, but when the first one came out, hey, that was pretty influential. That did some cool stuff. Split was done by Blumhouse. Look at that, some Amityville movie. Upgrade, which I heard was really good. The Purge, which is bad. They even did Black Klansman and Whiplash. They're not even all horror. But yeah, Blumhouse has a really good track record. Again, some misses here and there, but for the most part, you're probably in for a good time when you're seeing a Blumhouse movie. And nobody paid me to say that.
See Sinister if you haven't.
Yeah, Sinister's good. Sinister's so creepy.
It's so good, though. I love it. I love Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke in a horror movie? What more could you want?
Nothing.
Let's be real here. Horror is just so fun. I mean, there are two ways to go about it. You can be like, horror is disgusting. I can't believe it. It just exists to be filth. Or you can just chill out, take a deep breath, and say, all right, let's see some good old sin.
Gosh.
Some days I just want to sit down and just watch a bunch of lower budget horror movies.
Well, Kelly's doing that all day long. Go watch them with her.
That's right. That's right. Overall, though, this was a very good week. I was not displeased with any of the movies that we watched.
Yeah, it was a really good week.
Just,
isn't it nice when that happens?
I know, when we don't have movies where we need to watch something garbage.
We're trying to... I mean, I know we have to watch bad movies, but we're trying to pick at least ones we want to see.
Right. Every now and then you'll get weeks where we have to watch Mile 22 and Happy Time Murders, and it's going to happen every now and then, especially in that kind of August black hole of nothingness that tends to exist. But things are going to be really ramping up here. You know, we are in Q4. Q4 of 2018, where it's about to be an absolute explosion of movies all over the place. We're at the point where we're having a hard time picking.
Yeah, we don't even know if we can fit them all in.
We might even have to forego the Netflix movie or just a straight-to-streaming movie every now and then and make a third trip to AMC, which is, it's taxing. It takes a lot out of you. You think I'm being sarcastic, but it really does take a lot out of us.
It just takes a lot of time because they have 20 minutes of trailers, and you got to get there early, and then, drive there and drive back. Yep. It takes a lot longer than to just watch a movie at home.
And there's your entire evening gone right there.
Yeah.
But, with the amount of high-profile movies coming out, who knows, that may be happening in the near future. A slight break in the... template there, but we'll see. Cat! Oh, okay, she's fine. She just climbed up.
And then she's crawl out of my desk.
So, yeah. Next week is kind of up in the air. Not entirely sure what we're going to see, so I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to advertise anything. It all depends on what comes out at AMC and when it comes out. Might be a garbage week, might be a really good week.
We don't know yet.
We'll see what happens, but we know just as much as you do. So keep your eyes peeled for what comes next, what is on the horizon. We are always excited to share our thoughts on these movies with you and have a little bit of marital infighting on occasion for your pleasure.
It would happen anyway.
Yeah, it's been a good week. I recommend seeing all three of these movies if they're the kind of thing that you're generally into. Even if they're not, at the very least, go see The Old Man and the Gun. You've got nothing to lose with that one. It's brief enough. It's good enough. It's just everyone will like that movie. And the other two I loved as well. So that wraps up episode 14 of the B Critics. Can't believe it. 14 episodes under our wing now. Where does the time go? Feels like just yesterday when we were watching...
Don't bring it up again.
I was going to say Ant-Man and the Wasp. What did you think I was going to bring up?
Father of the Year.
No, I wasn't going to bring up Father of the Year. I was going to say Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, Ant-Man.
Interrupt me before I can get my thoughts out.
I always do that to you.
I know. Come on, cat.
Yeah, is that our last... That was the last Marvel movie, right? Now the next one's Captain Marvel.
Yep, next year.
Yeah.
That was a huge gap in Marvel movies. It's kind of impressive how they decided to line that up. But I guess they're trying to knock over the DC route where they just push out garbage month after month. God, that Aquaman trailer looks bad.
Don't worry, we're going to see it.
Yeah, you'll get to hear all about how bad it is. With that, though, thank you all for listening, and you have yourself a fantastic rest of your evening. So long, and good night.
My